Welcome to GCMR TV's first podcast discussion. Today we're going to be discussing the COVID-19 pandemic, including our hobbies, how it affected our daily life, and its impact in general. We're going to be keeping things loose, and we're so glad that you'll be able to listen to our conversation. Hi, I'm Gregory.
Hey guys, I'm Charlie.
Hello, my name is Miraj.
And my name is Ryan. So I can bring up the first thing that I thought was really important to my pandemic experience. I feel like I'm pretty tech savvy, which kind of helped me in a lot of ways. And there's so many different opinions that I've heard from my friends and other people about how online school or work was handled in general. But I feel like for me, it was pretty easy. I mean, a lot of the time, I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of like I was like on a high horse and I was thinking, damn, I'm so lucky that I spend so much time on the internet because now I'm more comfortable transitioning to it, right? But I guess one thing that I was kind of concerned about was the inequality of like technology accessibility. And this is a first world
Yeah,
problem where like, oh, people have technology in the first place and that's a privilege. But there'd be so many people, like my friends, that they'd have either a bad internet or a bad computer and it would disrupt their education. So that might be one problem, but honestly, I didn't mind it like at all. And there's so many creature comforts of like virtual school, right? Like, I don't know, I woke up 5 minutes before class one time, or just eating during class, or wearing whatever you want. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think I would agree with you, right? Except it's so stressful when you're with DCs, right? And then
Yeah,
like
disconnects,
you're so
disconnects,
confused.
disconnects.
Right, yeah, like it disconnects, and you have no idea what your teacher is saying, and then like you join back, you're just like, sorry, miss, my Wi-Fi DC.
yeah. I feel like
Yes,
honestly, most of the teachers don't even care. Like they wouldn't even notice, but you still gotta say it, right?
Yeah.
mhm. I think that even with the many disconnections that people may be facing, I think that online school could still be like, a lot more accessible to people regardless of their circumstances with technology. As with this like such increased accessibility, we can often access resources or like go on the internet if there's something that we miss, and it's like we're very easily able to catch up. And like disconnecting could be not necessarily exclusive to online, wherein like the regular classroom, it's possible for people to also like disconnect IRL, wherein
In
they
real
like
life.
lose focus or zone out. But then in this case, if you zone out or if your Wi-Fi zones out for you can simply use like the resources that are very easily accessible online and simply catch up.
Yeah, I,
Yeah.
I would argue that like online learning could probably be continued even after the pandemic is over, just as an option. Like for example, like maybe if you're sick, or if you have like you have to stay in the hospital for whatever reason, you could always just have classes like online. It could just always be an option there. But like there could always be like services from like the school board that offer technology to people who don't perhaps have it, or like that could also be done.
I think that actually is like a thing that's going on. Like I think they like for like a French oral, like at least, right? If you didn't have like good Wi-Fi or something, you can go in person. And
Oh,
like, have you guys been picking up any new hobbies during like the pandemic?
oh, I feel like honestly the pandemic was pretty great because it was kind of unprecedented. Like not like you never get this much free time. I feel like since we had to transition, everyone had to transition to like the virtual landscape. I'm not gonna lie, a lot of work was probably missed and a lot of school time was lost, but that also brought a lot of free time. So there's a lot of things that before I just didn't have the time to indulge in that I could after. I remember I never used to read. Like I used to love reading in elementary, but then it just kind of dropped off when we went to high school. But then suddenly, after everyone got more free time, I was able to do it.
Yeah. Like I definitely agree with your point.
And also, I mean, productive or not, I spent a lot more time playing games because everything's online, everything's at home. It's just like more accessible, and like you can even save time on your commute. So there's stuff that you can do with that time.
There's no commute anymore,
Yeah,
essentially.
exactly. Yeah. Let me see. Have any of you taken like any virtual things before the pandemic? Because I, for one, I took like e-learning for my civics and careers in grade 9, and I honestly thought it was the best thing ever. Like, I feel like asynchronous online work, I mean, I don't know how sustainable it is with such an unrefined system. I think you guys would remember in grade 10, semester 2, everything was so unstructured, and we had like 1 hour per class of synchronous time each week, and the rest of the time, if you got the work done, you could do whatever you want. And like it might not be sustainable in that sort of form, but I remember at least for grade 9, like civics and careers, it was the best thing ever because I'd wake up, I'd finish the work, and then I'd essentially have a free day afterwards. So I think asynchronous work, especially for some classes, is probably an option that maybe after the pandemic we could keep. What do you guys
Honestly,
think?
I enjoy like having that much freedom.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah, I mean it's good in the sense that you have a lot of time, but then you also have to learn how to manage it. Otherwise, you're just like cramming everything at the end of the week, right?
Yeah, that's a huge struggle for me. Like I find myself procrastinating like a lot and finishing all my work in like after 12.
yeah,
Uh,
honestly, I feel like the difference between summer, like for me, the difference between the summer and the school year isn't even the quantity of work you have. It's more so like how much freedom you have with your schedule. Even if, let's say in the summer you're volunteering or doing other like supplementary classes, usually you have a lot more freedom with your schedule because it's less synchronous. It's less 9 to 5 or 8 to 2:30 like school is. So I feel like that's a lot better. And even if you had the same amount of work, if it's up to you to create your schedule, then it feels a lot better. Like
yeah,
one thing
yeah.
for
Well,
me is, oh yeah,
yeah, I was just gonna say how like school is not really designed to teach you, but rather just get you used to the 9 to 5, so when you get a job, so you can go into the workforce.
yeah,
Okay, okay.
unfortunately, yeah, yeah, you're challenging the system. I see you.
Mm.
Yeah, like honestly, it's such a like the ability for me. It's sounds trivial, but like the ability of me just to, I don't know, go outside, just walk around, do whatever I want. That's like so much to me, and that's the difference between the school year and the summer, you know. But I feel like that's also the difference between synchronous and asynchronous work.
Yeah, and I think like in regards to being able to go outside, I feel like with all of this free time that people now have, I've noticed a lot of people have been spending more time outdoors. Like on social media, I see people posting a lot more frequently since COVID has happened and since things have opened up, of like people being able to go outside and socialize. And I think that after being able to like have so much free time, like we're able to like work on ourselves and our physical health, and after like seeing myself improve like physically by like walking outside and being able to breathe fresh air and touch grass, I've noticed that I've also experienced like a lot more benefits to my mental health as well, and it made the overall experience a lot more easy.
Okay, well,
Mm.
I am glad that people have the option to go outside, but I will say that whether it's like online school or the summer, I've literally sat in this chair for 8 hours every day. It doesn't really make a difference
Mm.
for me personally.
Yeah,
True,
isn't
true.
that interesting how I feel like a recent insult is like touch grass, you know? Like you meet
Yeah.
someone
Yes.
that this person has no life and then you tell them touch grass. Like do you think that's kind of projecting from the pandemic? Because I don't know if anyone would say that before, but who knows? I might be reaching here. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I
I
think
feel like I don't touch grass in general, so it's kind of hard to say.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh, something else? Okay, I don't know if the concept of night owls and early birds actually exists, but if they did, which one would you guys be?
Night owl, like all the way. Like my sleep
Yeah,
schedule is so screwed up. Like it's actually insane.
yeah, true.
Like
How about
after
Raj?
like started sleeping
Try it?
early.
yeah. So I think like before COVID, I think I consider myself a night owl and a morning person because what happens is I was really bad at managing my time and I slept really late and I had to wake up really early so I could finish the work. But then because of COVID, I think I found more myself to be more of a night owl because I don't have to wake up nearly as early because of a lack of a commute.
okay, I'm also a night owl, except I'm pretty sure like it's been studied that like teenagers generally just prefer later sleeping schedules, like where you sleep later and wake up later. I'm pretty sure that's a scientific fact thing. And then as you
Yeah.
get older, like it changes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like I'm definitely a night owl, and like asynchronous work kind of caters to that. Because let's imagine you have 6 hours of work, whereas in school you might be forced to always do that from 8:30 to 2:30. With asynchronous, like I remember we'd be waking up at like 12:30 and having our synchronous class at 1. And I don't know, I feel like I prefer that schedule. And I remember in the summer, I guess this also talks is kind of related to the accessibility of technology. I took SHAD, and that was for me like from 11 to 5, and that schedule was so nice. Like, I thought I'd have to wake up at like 7 every day, but I ended up waking up at like 10 every day. I don't know. I'm just much more comfortable with that. And like with Shad, since it was virtual, I feel like okay, as I was saying about Shad, I feel like a lot of people that maybe didn't have the opportunity to do it before, like in rural areas of Ontario or even Canada, had the opportunity to. So I feel like um, I don't remember who brought it up, but like the accessibility of virtual school is definitely something that maybe could continue after the pandemic.
Yeah.
You guys
Oh,
Yeah, so I've actually been going to a lot of tournaments like for debating online, and I've noticed like a similar thing where I've suddenly been able to go to so many more venues because of the lack of any needs to actually go there like in person, because many of these universities can be located far away. And I think that's like this accessibility, even though it may not be as nice as the in-person like feeling of being able to attend the university, similar to what would happen in Chad. I think this accessibility is definitely something that is valuable and can continue, as it's not necessarily exclusive that you have one or the other. But I think that in the future it could be like extremely plausible for us to have in-person like attendance of universities or for events such as like tournaments or for events like, such as Shad. But even then, we could also have people who are able to appreciate the benefits of such events online because of the things that have happened in COVID.
in relation to like how you're talking about like you waking up late, I feel like okay, like personally, like I do like the same thing, right? And I kind of see it like as an issue because like if you start waking up like really late, like I wake up like 12 to like 2 maybe, like I find myself like eating only like 2 meals a day, right? Or like eating like a meal at like 2 a.m. Like that's like so unhealthy. So I feel like if you're like a night owl per se,
No, let's call it intermittent fasting.
Yes.
Yeah, I
okay.
used to do that too, you know? I mean,
But
it's
like I don't know,
not,
like I feel like I need to like manage my breakfast, my lunch, and my dinner better. I don't know.
I'm convinced, honestly, that um, like 3 meals a day and like breakfast is the most important meal of the day is just like a fad or like it's just a
It
myth.
is a lie. There's no
Yeah,
reason. That's a lie. 100%.
yeah. I mean, like, I mean, you don't have the need to eat a breakfast if you're waking up at 12. So,
It's a
you
corporate
know,
marketing scheme.
yeah, just slap the label of intermittent fasting on it, you know? So,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. Okay. Does anyone have anything else to bring up?
I mean, I can add to the accessibility thing where it's like I also think that since Canada is like more service sector oriented, like as a whole, I think a lot of jobs can actually be done just completely online. Like there's no reason for workers to have to
Yeah.
go like 9 to 5 in the company, just sit there all day. Like 100%, they could like if given the opportunity to manage their own time and do it at home, like who wouldn't? Who wouldn't like want to stay at home and do their work? Like
Yeah.
it's so much more freedom. Like like especially like if you're doing something like financial, just looking at spreadsheets, like doing some
Mhm.
analyst stuff. Like there's no reason why you can't like just completely online, just do it everything online, or even like outsource a lot of the stuff to like maybe, unfortunately, cheaper labor.
Yeah. I think that's definitely a takeaway that we're gonna get from the pandemic. And it's honestly not a bad thing because I feel like just bigger, like more accessibility to jobs, even if companies outsource work for cheaper labor, um, I feel like in a lot of the regions where that labor is outsourced, it's still income, right? I mean, it might be cheaper than if the labor was done at home, like here in Canada, but it would still be an income for those people. So it's definitely something that I'm sure corporations are going to be looking at and testing. And that isn't too good for our economy back here, but I think it is what it is. And honestly, like you said, a lot of jobs don't even need a commute. Like the employee doesn't even have to be there. So I agree.
Yeah.
I feel like also people actually kind of take hygiene seriously. Like I'm sure some of the things that we do pre-pandemic, like pandemic us, would look back and just gag at what we do. I mean, there's just probably so many times where we're careless that I don't know. I mean, it's kind of like a way to get everyone to wash their hands like 100%, you know?
I mean, we're speaking from hindsight now, and we know for the future. So
Yeah.
It's more like
Things are
drinking
improving.
people's drinks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Really obvious things you would ignore.
Mm-hmm. Does anyone else have any other topics? Okay,
Well,
how
I
did
mean,
you guys feel like at the start of the pandemic and like in the middle of it and leading on to the end? Because I can speak for myself here. At the start, like it was so hype. Like everyone was talking about it like, oh, it's just an extended March break. Or everyone was talking about, oh, it's gonna be a 2 week break, we're gonna do nothing and it's gonna be so fun. And then everyone thought it was only gonna be 2 weeks. And like you said, now in hindsight we know. We know like how everything worked. So I feel like near the start of the lockdown and even like our second semester of grade 10, it felt so good because I don't know, it's kind of like a honeymoon period where we really didn't know what was going
okay, I
on,
would
but we
say
were just
that
yeah.
I heard about COVID when it was still like an unnamed like pneumonia in Wuhan, and then I brought a mask to like French exam or something like that, and everyone thought I was crazy.
Not gonna lie, I thought it was gonna just end. I feel like at that point, I had this idea that no matter what's on the news, like no matter how egregious or like breaking news it is, I feel like it would just die down after 2 weeks. So I thought the same thing would happen to COVID. Like, oh, we'd have news about it, and it's gonna go in 2 weeks. But I mean, I'll take this 2 week break.
No,
But
no,
little
I
did
don't
we know.
think it's I don't think it's that. I think it's because a lot of the mass media spread like the information that it's just the flu. It's nothing.
Mm,
Don't worry about it. People in China are just freaking out.
yeah, I mean,
I mean,
we're
I
just
feel
growing
like
now.
the proper protocol was also like not like it was not really followed here, so it's
Yeah,
kind of
like a lot of people spread misinformation just for no reason, essentially.
Yeah.
Yes, like in recent history, like we haven't experienced like a pandemic of this level, like on a global scale since like the ancient times, right?
I mean,
So
I
I
think
think that
we had SARS though, right? I don't know.
we did have SARS, but it was not nearly to as great as an extent as compared to COVID, right?
That's true.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
so I think like because of this lack of like previous experience, I feel like humans get so much better when they're faced with like problems, and like when the second time they come around the problem, like it gets so much better. Like we look at the online environment, how it's improved to such a great extent after COVID, and how we've been able to adapt like super quickly in just a few months. I think that like one of the main reasons why it was so bad is because we had like basically zero experience in like managing such a pandemic. But I think that in the future, if we're like now that we hopefully know how we were able to handle this better, I think that pandemics such as these will likely not become nearly as much as a problem.
yeah, I
Disagree.
think I agree.
No, I disagree with that. I think like just look at America. Like they knew it was coming. They 100% knew it was coming. Yet conservatives still lobbied for like no masks. There's no difference. People are terrible.
I mean, I feel like this pandemic is pretty interesting because like we created what like an mRNA vaccine in record time, like it has caused major scientific breakthroughs, and like yeah, I think it's pretty interesting.
Yeah. Not gonna
And
lie. Oh yeah? Go on.
no, go.
Yeah, I just recently watched a show and it portrays humans in such a bad light, so I'm feeling extra pessimistic today, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Good.
I don't know. I mean, also I was thinking, like, while I was thinking about my ideas on like how I felt at the start of the pandemic, I started to think, what if that sort of happiness was just because we were in grade 10, right? It might not even be contributed to the pandemic because I remember talking to like our upperclassmen, like the grade 11s at that time, and
Mm.
each one of them was stressing about the French exam. I mean, we had no exams, so we were just chilling, but they
Yeah.
had to deal with all of the disorganization that was associated with it, right? So I don't know. Like now I'm like nearing the end of the pandemic, I'm so stressed. Like I'm just thinking about I don't know how grade 12 will be, if the hybrid learning structure or the virtual learning environment will be good. But now that I think about it, it might not be associated with the pandemic ending because the lockdown isn't really over,
Mm.
and it might just be more because we're nearing grade 12. So now I'm wondering, are these emotions really linked to the course of the pandemic, or is it more so with our academic progress? What do you guys think?
Well,
Yeah, I think. Sorry, go ahead.
go ahead.
Okay, so I think like these emotions, I think like as a student, like we experience like gradually more stress as the stakes keep on going higher and higher. And I think it's just that these like we tend to look at the many issues that we face like over the years. And like even from like let's say elementary school to high school, like I'm sure like a lot of these people were stressed out with like not knowing what might happen. And I think COVID is just like one other factor that we're unsure about. But even then, I'm pretty sure there would be a lot of things that people can worry about that would not be related to this. So I think that these like feelings would most likely be something that anyone would experience at this stage of their life, regardless if there was a COVID pandemic.
Hmm. Yeah, that is true. Because I guess everything is kind of unsure right now. Okay, what do you guys
Yes,
think?
there's a lot of uncertainty.
Yeah, I mean, we were discussing it before, but what do you guys think going into grade 12? What do you guys think about in person versus online?
Uh,
Have you guys decided
The
yet?
thing is, like, I actually haven't decided yet, right? But I don't know, like, being like online is like pretty like it's pretty like chill, it's pretty comfortable, right? Except I kind of want to go see like other people. Like I haven't interacted in like so long, you know. Like everyone I talk to, like is not on like a face-to-face basis. Except I feel like a lot of people I know are going like online. So
Yeah, like I was
um,
talking to one of my friends, and they were talking about they're probably just gonna take virtual because all of their friends are doing it as well, right? And honestly, what I'm thinking is this sort of system, like what we're going to have coming into the next year, is going to be kind of similar to our hybrid system at the start of grade 11. I feel like, I mean, I didn't know because I took fully virtual, but at the start of grade 11, or so my friends have told me, the ones who took in person, there was like no socializing because obviously
it's
social
true. That is very
distancing
true.
yeah.
measures, right? First of all, there's the cohort system, which is dividing everyone into two groups of the people that went online. And from that, obviously, you can't talk to anyone. You have to stay 2 meters away from everyone. You always have masks on, and there isn't really any interaction that can go on. I mean, even with masks on, there's like, I don't know. I feel like your expression is a lot more limited, and it's a necessity, definitely, for that system to work in the first place. But what I'm thinking is, especially with the Delta variant, is this hybrid system even going to last, or will it be like we have it for maybe 2 weeks or 1 month before there's a case in school and it shuts down? Because I
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
last year, I think maybe there's one case, or even might not even have been a case, it was just a possible case, and school shut
Yeah.
down. But I'm wondering what the board's decision will be, especially since there are more vaccines. But it's hard to say. I do think though that it's kind of lame to only have 1.5 years of in-person school. But at the same time, will the hybrid structure even really be accurate to that? Especially with cohorts and preventative measures. What do you guys think?
Yeah. Well, like the question is like how many people will it take to shut down the school, right? Because like I feel like most of us here know people who have COVID, but like if it only takes one person, then it's like it's definitely not gonna last.
I
That's
mean,
for sure.
I feel like it's not like one person shuts down like the entire school, but like it's more like one person gets COVID, right? And everyone else they get like scared because that person is COVID, right? And then they opt to go for online learning, and then like since there's like not enough people that like go in like that go in person, they feel like prompted to like shut off the school.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, I don't know anyone that has COVID, so maybe I'm just
I
lucky or
see.
whatever. Yeah,
Uh,
but
Yeah,
also I'm
I think
wondering.
that. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm wondering like, I'm sure the board or the province I know makes decisions. I'm not sure how much sway the board has and even how much the teachers had. Because I mean, one thing that I feel like the teachers and the students could bond on was, damn, we're all getting used to this new system, and it's really hard, like for both the teachers and the
Yeah, yeah.
students. Because I mean, I don't think the teachers had any say in like what happened, but the teachers are so important to our learning, so I feel like they should have some say, right? And the policy about at least the our school board at least about not being able to move students around, I kind of understand. I understand how disrupting it would be if students kept switching from virtual learning to in person, but I don't really understand how switching from in person to virtual would be that disruptive. What do you guys think?
well, I don't understand how they can have even like this current system that they have. considering last year we had to do cohorts to make sure we could do the social distancing and the 6 feet. I don't
Mhm.
see how like they could have everyone go to school and not just ruin social distancing entirely. I just
Mhm.
like there's too many people. Our school's not that
No,
big.
no. I think that they are expecting a lot of people to like not like go, right? So like, that's why they like allow basically everyone to go. Because like they won't expect that many people to turn up. So like that's kind of what prompted them to go for this approach.
Mhm. I saw in
But
the email. Oh yeah, Murat, go.
Yeah, okay. So like I think that's actually like, a really valid concern because like looking at schools, I mean, St. Robert's is like a pretty well-off school, but even that's extremely tiny, right? Even before the pandemic, like we could see like the halls were like, super crowded, and like when we were getting on the bus to commute, people had to like shove themselves into the bus, like into the bus.
Mhm.
It was like crazy, right? So like not only commuting, but also just going between classes. I think it's going to be extremely difficult if a lot of people end up going to school. Even at, I think at like 50% capacity, which like a low end of an estimate of like the number of people that will be attending St. Robert. I think even then it's most likely going to be very difficult to maintain social distancing, which is a real concern.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like for me, I'm the current president of like French Council, and I don't know. I feel like I've always been questioning. Oh, does that mandate me going back into school? I feel like if the meetings are still held virtually, then no, because I mean, there's only so much that you can do if the council is split, or if any extracurricular for that matter, whether it's HOSA or DECA or robotics or whatever clubs our school has. I don't know. Because if you have this sort of position, do you think it would mandate going in school? I definitely think it might shut down quickly, especially what you said. Like, even at 50% capacity, it's going to be very hard to maintain. So, I mean, I'm not sure. I feel like I'm leaning more to virtual right now, but if you guys had to choose, like, had to choose right now, what would you choose?
I think I'd also go for virtual because
Yeah.
even if there weren't some random case of COVID that shuts the school down and like we're disrupted, I think the amount of like or like the extent we're actually able to be there is very limited. Like sure we're there in person and like sure we could see other people, but we can't actually talk to them, right?
Yeah.
And one of the main reasons why I would go to school is so I could like socialize. But if I can't even socialize, then I'd honestly rather keep my extra hours of sleep that I get from not having to commute.
Yeah. I feel like one thing, man, I definitely feel that so hard. Like, at school, you would have, like, in my experience, a bunch of friends and then a few close friends. Whereas online, it would be more so just the close friends. Like I didn't
Yeah.
talk that much to my friends who obviously I valued a lot, but they weren't like as close as some others. And I feel like your interaction with like people just got cut down because of the pandemic, right? And honestly, if the cohort system is as it was last year, then I don't think we're gonna socialize a lot anyways. And even like even virtual, I feel like might have more socialization because you have like study groups or like a study buddy, right? And that's definitely like really huge. I feel like you probably interact with them a lot. If you're talking about notes or the lesson or working on homework together, you definitely interact a lot more than you would if it was online or if you were in person, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Honestly, I feel like socialization in general has just decreased like so much. Like, okay, like I think it's because like it takes like some level of like commitment to like to like openly reach out to people, right? And like
Yeah.
there's so many people to talk to. Like sometimes
Mhm.
you don't find a time to reach like to reach out to like everyone, right? And then that's
Mhm.
like how like people they kind of drift, and it's kind of unfortunate.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people like some people might find the need to socialize with other people, and like especially then maybe with the online model they might feel a little like I don't know, they might feel bad because they can't socialize with other people. But personally, I like if it's not easy for me to socialize with people, I just won't. There's like it's like I'm completely fine with just not socializing with people entirely.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah, and like I feel like even when I went to school for the cohort model, I would maybe talk to one or two people it's purely because of the social distancing. I will say that
Mhm.
because you can't talk to more than two people when you're 6 feet away. It's not possible.
Yeah.
No, no, like, you just make a like a really big circle, you know, and
Oh,
just
oh,
talk to
I see.
everyone.
Okay, we're getting math involved. Yeah, I mean, there's so many things that I feel like you'd miss being 2 meters apart. Like I remember one thing I do with one of my friends who I don't really talk to as much. We were really close friends in person, but since we had different classes, I feel like it kind of fell off this year. But I think we're definitely gonna stay like pretty good friends. One thing I'd always do was during lunch, I'd take their lock on their locker, which okay, we're not supposed to know each other's combinations, but I'd always take their lock and flip it around. So it was super annoying for them to unlock when they got to their locker.
Well,
But that's just not
yeah,
gonna be possible, you know? So
yeah.
there's so many things that you miss in an online system, but with cohorts, I don't even know if it would be possible, you know?
Yeah, I think like I've actually had a. I'm not sure if this is shared amongst the rest of you, but I've actually noticed I've like had a very similar level, if not higher level, of social interaction with things like you said, like study buddies. Like I haven't studied with other people before COVID, but now that COVID has passed, like I've noticed I've spent a lot more time with different groups of people, like outside of school. Because even though like we're not able to talk during class, I feel like talking during class is not like a very long duration of time. Like most of the time we're doing work or listening to lessons, right? But I've actually noticed like a lot of increased socialization now, especially in the later stages of COVID compared to beforehand. But I think like the thing that I've really missed would be like intimacy with other human beings, and I don't
Yeah.
mean necessarily mean like physical, but like sending messages uh, or like eye contact or things like that. It's like the little things that like
Yes.
make us human and make us feel alive. I've been lacking a lot of it because I've not been able to see like people outside of my own home.
Yeah, I think it definitely makes such a huge difference, you know? Mm.
Yes, like to see someone and know that they're also like to look at a person, know that they could also like look at you. It's
Wow.
Yeah.
very different.
Don't worry, you can do this during tests.
We could do that virtually. It's okay.
You can do it during tests.
Yes, you could just look at the people,
Yeah.
Yeah.
not suspicious at all.
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So, when do you guys think this pandemic's gonna be over? Like entirely over?
Like, I mean, I don't know, like February? I don't know. Okay, the thing is like, assuming that like it doesn't like change too much, like the like coronavirus, right? Assuming like it doesn't change, like it should be like fine, right? Except there's also like the Delta variant and stuff like that, right? But like
Hmm.
okay, like two vaccine doses is like what, like 96% like
Efficacy. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, like it's pretty good, right?
Mm.
So I don't know, like eventually it should fade away. So I think maybe like February, maybe January. But like people were saying that like last year, right? And like
Yeah.
as you can see now, like that's not the case. So it's hard to make an accurate prediction.
Yeah, I saw one video and I was talking to my friend about it, and I feel like it's possible that COVID never really dies out, but it becomes such a small problem that the healthcare system can handle it because with COVID, it wasn't really like every person that got it was just dropping dead, right?
Yeah.
On the contrary, it was just highly infectious, and I mean the mortality rate was lower than SARS, which probably contributes to how long the pandemic's lasting. But if we get to the point that very few people are infected, and the people who are infected, um, like the severity isn't that high, and hospitals can easily manage that amount of people, then I think lockdown will end. But I don't think we're gonna eradicate it like we did with polio or anything, you know.
Is there
But
any reason we can't eradicate it though?
I mean, I'm not an epidemiologist, but I feel like I don't know, COVID's so adaptable. I mean, like there's so many different variants, right? And the Delta variant's particularly immune to some types of vaccine, right? So,
Yeah.
and I don't know, there's also this sort of change in attitude where people are listening to their doctors less, and there's more suspicion. And I honestly, I get it. Like, I feel like it's so easy to fall into that sort of mindset, you know, like conspiracies and stuff like that. It's really alluring sometimes and it's hard to resist. But I kind of understand like they're like why that sort of mindset of I mean, how do you know if the government's lying, right? I can understand why that's appealing, but I don't know, I feel like it's sort of a new phenomenon, you know? Like just in the same way that flat earthers are like a new phenomenon, I feel like anti vaxxers and like distrust with the with medical professionals is kind of a new thing. What do you guys think?
I don't think it's. I think it's been supported by social media algorithms because it keeps people on the sites, but also it's been pushed by conservative rhetoric significantly. Like if you like maybe not in Canada, but
Mhm.
especially the States, like conservatism is like tied with anti-vaxxers and QAnon and all these crazy people. And like this ideology just flows upwards to us. It just like it's like a virus. It's a different virus. It's the virus of stupidity. It flows upwards to Canada. And we actually have a lot of people in Ontario, especially. Maybe it's because we're close to the States, but like we have a lot of people in Ontario who are very like vaccine hesitant. We're part of these like groups on Facebook, and it's like it's one of the main reasons why the Ontario vaccine rate is so much lower, even than Quebec.
Is that true?
It is
Okay.
true.
Yeah, okay. I always perceived Quebec as like the hyper conservative far right part of Canada, or
Yeah,
either
that's what you
Quebec or
think,
Alberta.
right?
But damn, I mean that's something I didn't know. I mean I'm not too familiar with politics. I guess I'm uneducated with that, but it's so interesting how vaccines and masks became like a political issue, rather
Yeah.
than like the sequestering of science and like science and state.
Wait,
I don't know. It's crazy how they were linked together.
okay, I still feel like a lot of people are getting vaccinated because like they literally ran out of Pfizer. Okay, like sorry, like they had like a shortage of like Pfizer vaccines, right? And like they like I don't know, like Canada has been like investing like a lot of money to try to get like as many vaccines as possible, right? And like I'm pretty sure right now adults over like 18 they have to get like their second dose has to be Moderna maybe. So yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that, and looking back on it, like while I was trying to get my second dose, like my parents were making sure everything's okay. Like, oh, is mixing doses fine? And I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. And then come to think, I ended up getting 2 doses of the Pfizer vaccine, right? But I
Yeah.
think there are articles talking about how
Probably.
Moderna is more effective against the Delta variant, right? I
Yeah.
think that's a thing. I'm thinking back, like, damn, I should have just gotten the Moderna vaccine. But I mean,
No, the
that's
thing is
something
like
you
it's not
never know.
tested for like for people like our age, right? So like they
Hmm.
physically cannot give it to us.
Yeah, I see. What do you guys think of like the idea of like vaccine passports and stuff like that?
Why
I
not?
think
It's a
it's
great
a good
idea.
idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a good idea, but I think we should also have like, exceptions for individuals who like can't take the vaccines, because that would just be like discriminatory for
Of course, there would
people who
be
have like
exceptions, but
yes.
like like even like the thing is like even Quebec is doing it. If Quebec can do it, we can do it. Vaccine
Oh
passports,
man.
vaccine passports are like very easy to do, and like it would very quickly get because a lot of people aren't necessarily like anti-vaxxers or like really crazy. They're just somewhat hesitant because of all the information they're hearing from different sides. And with vaccine passports, they would immediately get vaccinated because there'd be so much things they can't do.
Yeah. All this Quebec slander, by the way. Okay, hopefully no one sees this from Quebec.
Unfortunate.
Yeah. Anyone else have any topics to bring up?
These are like what hobbies that we've picked up over COVID.
Yeah.
Sure. Mirage, do you want to go?
Yeah, sure, I can start. So I think something that I've picked up, and I think many of us have picked up, was like League of Legends, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think with League of Legends, I've been able to like really improve my communication skills, and this actually made I think it's made me a more patient person. And this is my thinking, okay? So even the League of Legends can have like even the League of Legends can have like a lot of people who are very angry. I've learned that like in order to win, you have to keep a level-headed mindset, right? And in this manner, it's very similar to like adapting to poisons. So like in the real world, like you can inject yourself with poison and like increase immunity so that you're stronger, right? And then in the same manner, I think that being able to deal with the toxicity in League of Legends has also made me a stronger person.
Yeah,
Yes.
honestly, that's I don't know. That's kind of scarily accurate. Like, I'm sure all of us joke about like how bad of a game it is and like how bad the community is. But I've noticed that, or at least like I've read a bunch of religious texts. I don't know. It's just something that I enjoy reading, and I've taken some things away from it. And I don't know. I like to use League as sort of a benchmark, because in no other environment will you meet the most infuriating individuals than in League of
Yeah.
Legends. So I don't
That's
know.
true.
It's kind of like a testing ground for me. So I'll read something, and then
God is testing you.
how I react in the game is kind of reflective of my personal mood. If I didn't get any sleep and if I'm just in an irritable mood, like in game, I'm gonna notice that, okay, I'm not that patient today, right? And honestly, like it really is like injecting yourself with a poison. It's like testing your extremes and like building an immunity to it, you know? What do you guys think?
I think
Well-
the environment is toxic, but like despite everything, you must still be positive. You know.
Yes.
Mm.
I mean, the gaming community as a whole is just not a great place.
Yeah.
It definitely needs some work in terms of like just racism, misogyny,
But the thing
all
is,
that.
people they just feel like okay, like behind like a screen, right? They feel so like powerful. They're just like, oh, we can do anything we want, right? Because no one's gonna stop us, right? But like, that
Mhm.
mentality is just, like, kind of toxic.
Yeah, and it
Yeah.
sounds like we're going on like such a long tangent here, but I feel like really like games and this sort of community in general has become a lot more mainstream because of that pandemic. Like it was
Yeah.
becoming
Yeah,
mainstream before
that's
with
true.
like the rise of esports and stuff, but I feel like since everyone's online, there are a lot more people who are just like, let me install a game, let me see what the hype's about, and that's definitely increased the prevalence of it. I remember I watched a pretty good video essay, and like watching video essays like a hobby of mine, one that I could indulge in more with the pandemic. But it was a video essay on why breaking the fourth wall is so unnerving. And there, like this level of anonymity and the comfort that it brings to people is really universal. So I feel like this manifests itself in stuff like online forums, video games, driving, like anything anonymous. I feel like it allows people to be much more candid and uncensored than they would be if it was face to face, right? I started learning how to drive like after the pandemic, and like because
Oh.
I had a lot more free time, right? This is one hobby I kind of picked up, and I feel like driving in games or like online forums, any place with a lot of anonymity has a lot in common, right? Road rage is just such a common shared idea. Like everyone knows on the road people get angry, right? And I feel like the separation of people, just you're in your car, I'm in mine. We don't see each other's faces for the most part, and it's just this hunk of metal. This sort of separation really makes people unleash. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think that's
I feel like that's also partly because of lack of driver education. I do think the road test might be like the driving tests might be a bit easy, and also like, I do think our senior population needs to be tested yearly because a
Yeah.
lot of the older people
Right.
are not qualified
That's
to
true.
drive. They cause accidents. Like
Yeah.
it's not okay.
Yeah, I mean, another hobby I picked up from COVID-19 was watching TV, like binge watching TV. And since I was like driving or whatever, I'm like, I remember I used to watch so much of Canada's Worst Driver when I was a kid. Let's start that up again. So I watched it, and it's something interesting. The UK, the driving test for the UK is a lot harder than Canada,
Mm.
and the rate of vehicular accidents per capita is less than half than it is in Canada.
Ah,
I
wow.
definitely feel like education is so important, you know, and
Yeah.
like you said, I feel like you should get retested because in Canada it's like you keep your license for life unless you get
Yeah,
it taken
exactly.
away. Yeah, but
Yeah, look, okay. I just make an example. Is look at China. A lot of the older drivers, they don't actually they never actually took they never actually took the test. They bought their licenses like from the officials, right? So they don't actually know how to drive. So they're especially crazy. They cause a lot of accidents. They just stop in the middle of the highway.
I think that's why being concerned with education, especially like, oh, is virtual really effective? Such a problem, or like such an important issue to tackle, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's so cliche, but like, oh, kids honestly are our future. Like, we will grow up to be like some of the main stakeholders in society once we're older, right? I feel like, yeah, I feel like discussing education is so important because education for driving, for school, for anything in life is really influential. I mean, it's definitely an investment that has to be made, right? That's why if you do have the liberty to, then prioritizing education is so important. What do you think about like the social aspect of school, like for people that have grown up during the pandemic, I guess?
Mm.
Because
Well,
I
I think
remember,
I think it's especially impactful for like younger children, like in elementary school, because I feel like that's where you really develop like your social skills and how to interact with other people. But I don't know about like for our age. I don't know if it really matters that much for our age because you can always just call someone like
Yeah.
online, right? Or you could just
Mhm.
you can if you really want to hang out, you can. But like for people like in elementary school, that's like going to school is the only way of talking to other people, other kids, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember. I mean, I don't know how if you guys have researched about this at all, but with language, it's one of those things that you can only develop with a certain age, right? Once you become too old to develop like grammatical structure, you can't really learn the entire language. And I'm wondering, what if your social skills are kind of the same? Because when you're an infant or when you're a toddler, those are really formative years for you, right? However, if you spend all of that time inside with the only social interaction that you have maybe with your parents or like a sibling, how impactful will that be later on, right? What do you guys
Yeah.
think?
Yeah, I think like learning in general, it becomes harder as you get older because of like the brain's neural network. It like solidifies and becomes like less elastic, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's also like especially like bad for like these younger children because like as you said, they can't actually like call or meet people in real life. But also because like a lot of their parents will be working from home. So I think it's going to be like very common for them to like see their parents or maybe not see their parents. But if they do see their parents, a lot of the time the parents are going to be working and not be able to attend to them, right? So I think it will become like very normal to become devoid of human interaction and instead be like interacting with, let's say, like things that they stream like off YouTube or something like that. And that could be like extremely harmful for these people as they have like very little reference to make and they are like extremely powerless in this aspect.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to play devil's advocates, arguably it helps them it's like it helps them like develop like their independent like skills, and like become more self sufficient.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but even more than language, I think social skills is something that you gain and you lose. It's not really something you learn and you retain. Like even for people like our age, like if you don't speak to someone for 2 years, you're gonna lose all your social skills. That's just how it is, and it's just you gain it back by talking to more and more people, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
so maybe it's more of not. It's not really like I do think it's possible to pick it up later in life.
That just brought me to another idea. So, with the pandemic, we obviously have to resort to moving everything virtually, right? But this move towards more remote technology and its increased use, do you think that's creating a negative feedback loop or a positive one? Because what I'm thinking is, I mean, kids are getting technology younger and younger, right? I think I got like my first piece of technology like an iPod like when I was in grade 4, and that's still really early. For like I think that was really early because a lot of people got their first piece of technology in maybe grade 7 or 8, and I got it early.
Yeah.
But now kids are getting like a phone in like grade 2, and then you have to think, is this move to everything virtual, especially with the pandemic, is it solving our problems by allowing things to continue, or is it increasing the separation between us? Like, is it
Mm.
making us connected or is it making it even worse? Right? I don't think um, everything could just pause for 1 year and then pick it up like nothing happened. So I think, I mean, using everything virtually is kind of a necessary evil, but what do you guys think?
Well, technology is in the end, it's just a tool. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's like for ease of access, right? It really depends on how you use it. For children, right? You're talking about like a 2-year-old kid having a piece of technology. Well, that it's okay for them to have that piece of technology if they're properly supervised. The problem is that a lot of these children, they're not properly supervised. Like the children, the adults just give them this technology. They go on YouTube, they look at whatever they want, and then
Mm-hmm.
their brain rots, essentially.
Yeah, that's true. I've noted. Okay, I mean, this is again with the increase in video games and like, I feel like they are a lot more accessible nowadays. But I'll be playing a video game, right? Some of these kids have such an attitude. Like it's
Hmm.
crazy. I would never imagine like anyone
I mean, I guess
in
that's
our age
like
group.
that's just being like immature though. I don't know.
No, I do think it's lack of parenting. It's like the parents need to tell the children what they can do and what they can't do on these devices. Like they have way, it's used as a crutch for bad parenting. Essentially, that's what I think.
Yeah, I think I have to
Yeah,
agree.
I
And
think that's
like
fair though.
I think the pandemic might have exacerbated this problem, right? Like then again, like drawing back from earlier, it's this increase in anonymity and censorship, right? And obviously, too much censorship is bad as well, but some things are just better left unsaid, you know? But I don't know. if everyone starts using technology more, especially at a younger age, how much will that separate us? And like how akin do you think it's going to be to the pandemic, right? I mean, I guess we'll have to see because this is the first thing something like this has happened. I think in probably
Yeah.
human history, I don't think any pandemic has been as universal as the COVID-19 one. What do you guys think?
Oh, we got Spanish flu.
Yeah, but w- wasn't that was that localized to Europe? I'm not too sure. I'm not
It was
too
everywhere. It
familiar
was
with
like
history.
1915 though.
Okay, I see. Never mind. But yeah, especially with how easily information is spread, how easy it is to misinform, and the increase of prevalence, I'd still say that the COVID-19 pandemic is different from the Spanish flu, right? In the
Yeah, of
20th
course,
century.
of course.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to say. Do you guys have any predictions, like in
Prediction.
general, about? Do you think, let's say this for example, do you think there's going to be a huge difference between those who grew up like in an like in our normal setting, let's say us, our age group, and those
Yeah.
that grew up in the pandemic? And I know the pandemic has only been for, let's say, like 2 years. So do you think there's going to be a huge difference between the 3-year-olds right now and the 5-year-olds right now, for example?
No, I don't think so.
Do you think
I
so?
think
Yeah, I
it's.
feel
I,
like
I
there's
feel like
yeah,
technology has been getting like more prevalent anyways. It's just kind of like slightly exacerbated the issue, but not like to the like extreme degree.
Okay. Greg, were you gonna say something?
I don't know. I feel like 3 and 5-year-olds, right? They aren't like old enough to experience like the pandemic. Like,
That is true.
I don't know. Like, they're gonna grow up, right? And they aren't even gonna like remember us.
Yeah, they'll forget
Yeah.
it. What?
That's true. One thing I was thinking about is I remember I used to lunch monitor in elementary school when I was in grade
Oh,
8, and I'd lunch monitor like
wow.
grade 3s and 4s, right? What I'm
Okay.
thinking was with kids, like I've also taught piano, so like I feel like this is something that I've experienced multiple times. With kids, there are certain windows. So if they're really young,
Yeah.
their I don't know, their lack of knowledge is perceived as cute, right? Oh,
Oh, okay.
it's okay.
Yeah.
You do something wrong. It's okay. You're
I
a
see what you're
child.
saying.
But in the middle, grade 3 and 4, is when they're smart enough to know that what they're doing is wrong, but they're still young enough to still do it, right? And then
Yeah.
you get to the older grades, like us in high school, or maybe even the latter years of elementary school, where
Elementary school kids are terrible.
that's so true. I couldn't
I
agree
was
more.
teaching skiing, and they are terrible. They're so bad.
Yeah, I feel like do you think the pandemic's gonna shift this window at all? I feel like it might shift it later. Like kids who are in grade 3 or 4 now might be more tolerable, or like kids in grade 3 or 4 who went through the pandemic in their formative years might be more tolerable because there's I don't know, they might have been set back in their like social development because
More
it's to the point
tolerable? I say.
maybe
Wait, don't you like less tolerable? I don't know.
they might be like earlier on. They might be in a stage where they make a mistake, but it's more understandable.
Like as in they're like socially inept.
Maybe we're
Wait,
discrediting them too much.
wait. But isn't it gonna be more like they make a mistake and no one's there to tell them that they can't make that mistake? I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So, I
think
mean, I think the standards of people who are like observing these children will like stay the same, like relatively, because like it's what we've been through, right? And it's what we've experienced for much of our lives. But for many of these people who are like growing up right now, I think that like, it's going to be stunted, like their social growth, as we're talking about. I think it's going to be like seriously stunted, and because of that, they're going to be like having very different expectations of themselves compared to what people have of them, and like let's say you're in like that middle stage, let's say like grade 2 or 3,
mm-hmm.
and then suddenly COVID hit, right? I think the way that you think people perceive you will remain relatively unchanged. But once you go back and like you're placed back into the real world, like you're going to still try and get away with things, but people are simply like not going to accept it. So I think like for a brief period of time, like it's going to be stunted. But I think eventually like things will catch up back to how they're supposed to be, like normal development, and people will understand like that they can't do something as they have like the brain to do it, and they can simply adapt to that. So I think it's going to be like an issue, but only for a short period of time.
Hopefully, I'm hoping for that too. I feel like this sort of discontinuity or like being out of touch is something we kind of can't avoid. I mean, I feel like there's some teachers that really understand like okay, I don't want to be that like stereotypical teenager. No one understands me or whatever. But there's a lot of teachers that I'm not really sure if they understand that the sort of landscape has changed to the point where a 70 is just unacceptable at this point. And for a lot of people's standards, and
It's
anything under 85
unacceptable.
is anything under 85 is below average, right? I mean, I know teachers are looking out for us and that they have our best interests at heart and they want our mental health to be best, like as good as possible, obviously. And I don't think our modern climate of like education is really healthy. I think it's kind of toxic, but I feel like
Hmm.
it's really helpful when a teacher is actually not out of touch, when they understand that for a lot of students, anything under 95 is terrible. And like it seems ridiculous to say almost, but some teachers understand that. And I don't know, for the most part, I feel like this sort of out of touch uh, trait, I guess, that a lot of people have is kind of unavoidable. What do you guys think?
Yeah,
Because
I feel like that's also a trait of our school, as it is, because our school is competitive. I don't think you would see this in like other schools.
I mean, I
that's a
think
fair
it's
point.
true like the IB program, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly.
Hmm. But even outside of the IB program, everyone is applying for the same universities, right? And for a lot of these university programs, aren't the expectations higher than the teachers?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the cutoff for some of these
Well,
programs will
okay,
be.
that's because everyone's applying to similar programs. Like,
That's true too. Yeah.
like if I was applying to health science, I would be very afraid, you know.
Hmm.
But luckily, I'm not.
Yeah, because yeah, I mean, I don't blame teachers. Like, I feel like I don't know, 20, 30 years from now, once we're like in once we're middle aged, we're gonna look at things with this lens that we grew up with, right? We're gonna see
Yeah.
things in comparison to what we
I
grew up
guess we'll be
seeing.
like, oh, the old days were so hard. You have to get into 95.
Yeah, and then watch kids will have to be getting like 150 out of
True, true, true.
So
Let's
I
get
mean,
extra credits.
yeah,
Oh my.
I feel like this divide
we
is.
lived through pandemic. Oh, it's so difficult.
Yeah. Do you realize what my walk to school used to look like? I had to
Wow.
climb over 4 mountains, you know?
True, true. I had to
Yeah.
swim through an ocean.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay. I think do you want to wrap up here?
we
Yeah.
can. I'm sure.
All right, sounds good. Okay. All right. This has been our first episode of GCMR TV's podcast discussions, and we hope you enjoyed.